help me talk. Right. So yeah, welcome to our Net Zero week. This is the second one we've run. It's really, I think it's a really important subject, and by the demand and the response we've had, I think you agree as also. I think this is the biggest subject really for Welsh housing for the next 10 years, maybe 20 years, is how do we build a net zero, low carbon housing and communities? And that does lead me on. So this week we've been looking at a number of things. Like yesterday was retrofit day, really good sessions, really good feedback we had off that. Today we're looking at new homes, and this afternoon also Tenants have, I'd recommend people come to this. It's their vision on how they're going to become a carbon neutral organisation with creating a woodland and forestry and gardening and a whole community there. It's a great project. I'm not the one to do it justice. That's why we've asked Current Tab to come this afternoon to how to become a carbon neutral organisation. As I say, tomorrow, some real debate on some controversial subjects, the energy market, and how maybe we could do differently, and how maybe landlords become an energy provider through some of the net zero projects. And also what are the issues with an IES system? If you don't know what it is, people either love or hate it. I'm a big fan of it. Certainly talked to somebody from Wales and West yesterday who isn't. I think that's a worth session to get up to speed on these subjects. And then Friday, again, we've got some interesting sessions around ADRA. We're doing something really interesting with skills and creating a new decarb hub in Penygroes, and Cardiff Council doing stuff with water and our community. So good sessions. And then Friday afternoon, just a round table. Anyone's welcome to join, no agenda, and we'll just discuss our thoughts on the whole net zero subject. So I'd like to just introduce Hannah. Those of you in the sessions already have heard from Hannah, but Hannah, you just say hello. She just joined us.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah, as David mentioned. I'm the new Net Zero Engagement Officer for TPAS. So this is my second week, starting out the gate in Decarb Week. Very excited to be here. Happy to be learning in a very fast-paced environment with all of these events, but it's been really enjoyable and knowledgeable. So if you ever have any questions or anything about the net zero agenda, let me know. My information is on the TPAS website, so you can get in contact with me there. So for the session today, just to cover some housekeeping tips, we do have a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So I would encourage you to use that if you have a question. At the end of the session, after our speakers do their presentations, we'll be doing a Q&A session. So if you want to put them in the Q&A box, then it makes it easier for me to keep track of making sure that your questions get answered. There is the chat box if you want to make a comment. You can use that. But for your questions, please use the Q&A. The session will be recorded, so if you have to leave early or if someone from your organization has missed it, then there will be a private YouTube link sent to you and then posted on the TPAS website under Missed Out Catch Up. So you can always go back and watch the session again, or any of the previous sessions that you missed. And then also we have a new Net Zero Housing Network Facebook group. So in a few slides, there'll be a QR code that you can scan your phone to give you access to the link to the group. So this is for housing. So if you're a member of housing staff that wants to join this network and get in the discussions and just share information, then I definitely encourage you to join. So for tenants, we're going to discuss at the next tenant network what kind of solution would be best to discuss net zero housing. So that is it from me for now.
So thank you very much. Just a reminder, we have our best practice awards coming up on our best practice day. So various speakers looking at community engagement, community issues. Really recommend people come down. The numbers are filling up nicely on that, so do get in there and so you don't miss out. And just a reminder, we mentioned on Friday there's a roundtable discussion. It's not going to use webinar, we're going to use Zoom meeting, so it allows everyone just to get around a table virtually and have a chat. So do book on there, it's on our website. And for those who want to join the network, got their phone handy, or there's a QR code there, and they'll be in the presentation afterwards. So today's session, sorry, is new homes. So we were looking at existing homes yesterday. This morning we're looking at new homes, new ways of building homes, new ways of using materials. I think it's an amazing subject, this, and it gives opportunities to test and learn and try so many things differently. So we've got a couple of wonderful speakers here today. Carol, we weren't able to find your photo, despite our best cyber stalking. So Carol is a senior manager and lead building development at Swansea Council. Although not a lot of biography we could find on her, her name might be familiar to those of you in housing who read the Welsh News, because it was only about 5 days ago, she was in the news with a really interesting off-site construction homeless project in Swansea. I was reading it, I think it was in Nation Cymru, I think I was reading it over the weekend, and I was suddenly like, hang on a minute, that's our speaker on Monday. So yeah, welcome, Carol. Adrian is the Managing Director of Commercial Services at Cartrefi Conwy. Been with Cartrefi Conwy, I think, since the beginning in 2008. He manages WHQS program, and also, I think a really interesting part of Cartrefi Conwy's work is their creating enterprise, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Cartrefi Conwy. Their mission to, the social contractor, they provide job opportunities. Every time I see and go up there, I'm always amazed at the wonderful work that Cartrefi Conwy are doing through creating enterprises. So again, somebody really knows their subject on building new homes. And we've got Rachel Gardiner-James, Communications Officer. I think we've been Tarian. I was reading your LinkedIn this morning. About 11 years, or as it was then, Neath Talbot Homes, wasn't it? But Rachel's been in the comms business for a while now. She's worked for Neath Talbot Council. And also, I was interested in you, a marketing officer for the mighty Neath Rugby Club.
Yeah.
As a Cardiff fan, in the old days, I've seen some terrible defeats to Neath down there, so down in the Knoll. So yeah, welcome, Rachel. So Carol, Adrian, and Rachel. Just going to come off my slides so that we can get going. And so I'd like to hand you over to Carol from Swansea Council.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just share my screen and get the presentation going. Right. Sorry, I'll just start the slideshow first, I think. Different themes, which we normally use.
There's always a little bit of first speaker on, yeah. Pressure's on, isn't it? So we'll all relax a little bit.
Right, okay, try again. Sorry, bear with me a second.
Fine.
It's not allowing me to start the slide.
You are enabled. Let's look at that. No, I think it's coming up now. You just need to put it on slide view now. I can see your slides in.
Okay, with that?
No, it's taken a second to come through. It's not, hasn't started the slideshow.
Showing on my screen.
Are you on a dual screen?
Yeah.
Just check.
It says I'm screen sharing.
Okay, you might need to. I'm trying to think how I can help.
What about if I send the presentation over? Would that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could do that. I mean, if Adrian's a man of experience, if are we happy, Adrian, would you? Oh, there's right. It's swap presenter and slideshow, I think. And then up to display settings, yeah.
Yeah.
and then switch them around, and it should work then. There we are, perfect.
Okay. So I'll just talk you through our new build journey and our development towards our sort of building energy efficient homes. We started our More Homes project back in 2015, set out against the need for 7,400 affordable homes across Swansea. Initially, we only had a small plan to develop about 140 homes, and that was based on what we could afford within the HRA business plan at the time. But there was a huge ambition within the council to increase that ambition, and we then had a plan agreed by Cabinet to develop 1,000 homes over 10 years, with obviously more emphasis to try and increase those numbers if we could. The council were very keen to develop the housing themselves, and there was a one council approach. So the schemes were all designed and built by our in-house team, by our own building services team, and we developed our own house types and our own Swansea standard specification. We've developed a range of house types from 1-bedroom apartments to 4-bedroom properties plus bungalows. So the key drivers behind our programme really were, as I said, decided to drive our own programme and create jobs within the city and increase the supply chain, obviously, and promote that local supply chain. We wanted to develop really energy efficient and environmentally conscious homes. Obviously, the key thing was reducing the energy bills and tackling fuel poverty for the residents who would be moving into the homes. So the homes were all about reducing the energy that they use, and obviously that carbon footprint. We're obviously working towards the Welsh Design Quality requirements and lifetime homes, which means the homes are really spacious and well designed, and all our homes, including the 1-bedroom apartments, have their own private gardens and accessible green space. I think we all realised throughout COVID how important it was to have your own private space, and I would have struggled, I think. I was thinking about people who didn't have access to that throughout the lockdown and how difficult that must be for people. So we make sure going forward that we build that into all our designs. And really the focus is on building homes and communities, not just building houses, trying to create environments that are comfortable and contribute towards the positive health and well-being of the residents who live there. We started off our new build journey with a passive house, which was at the time thought to be the sort of best project that we could have developed in terms of energy efficiency and reducing demand. But then we moved away from the passive house scheme and we started developing our own Swansea standard, which was based on a fabric approach. We built 2 schemes consisting of 16 and 18 homes, and these were funded through the Innovative Housing Programme. So we completed those schemes during 2021. This continued throughout lockdown. We were lucky to be able to complete them, and now we've just completed a 3rd Swansea standard development, which has got 25 3-bed homes, and that's going to be completed at the end of this month, and we've got another 6 bungalows on site. All these homes are what we call homes as power stations, which are energy positive homes, and I'll go into a bit more detail about that. The Swansea standard, as I said, is a fabric-based approach, and it's based on 25% improvement on current building regs. And what we've done, we've combined that standard with innovative renewal technology. So we call these homes as power stations because they're able to store and use their own energy. So all the homes are off gas, there's no gas supply to them, and they all have ground source pumps, integrated solar roofs, mechanical ventilation, heat recovery systems, and Tesla batteries. So they store and use their own energy. Here's a picture of some of our developments. So from the outside, they look very nice, pretty homes. You can see some of the MVHR vents there. But if you look at some of the kit that we've installed inside the homes, you see that it looks quite complicated and is quite bulky. Now, designing the homes has been a challenge because we have to include a lot of additional storage for this kit to fit into, because as you can see, some of the ground source heat pump and the storage tanks are take up quite a lot of room. That's the MVHR unit there, quite a lot of pipe work. So we had to make sure that we build in enough storage for the tenants to make sure that we don't impact on storage, because we've all got a lot of stuff to store, but obviously we need to build that in, and that's going to be a major factor going forward in retrofit, which we probably talked about yesterday, about how you're going to fit all this kit in existing homes. It's a bit easier when you're designing homes. So what we've ended up with really is some beautiful and spacious homes. As I said, they all have private gardens, green space, and they all have full downstairs wet rooms as well. They're accessible. So as I say, the homes have been designed to reduce the amount of energy used, and that energy then is stored from the sun and can be used throughout the day. The PV panels we're finding are generating energy throughout most of the day, stored in the battery, and enables the occupants to be energy self-sufficient for large parts of the year. So when the sun is shining, and say from May to October, we're finding that we have the most benefit. We've got a Tesla app which we're able to give to the tenants, so the tenants are able to monitor their own energy use as well and really help understand how the house works. We're also working really closely with the Welsh School of Architecture to help monitor the houses, because it's all very well putting all this kit in and then walking away, but what you really need to do is work with the residents to make sure that they understand how the house works, because it is different to the systems we're probably all used to with gas boilers, etc. And really understand how the house is working for them, what impact it's having on their comfort, their health, through poverty, how much energy they're saving. So we're doing, on each of the homes, we're doing a 3-year monitoring programme, obviously with the residents' permission. Welsh School of Architecture fits some kit into the house, which does all this remote monitoring, and then there'll be sort of questionnaire to the residents every year then to see how things are going. We also do feedback then on what they like about the home, what they don't like about the home, so we can build that into our future designs if there's anything we need to tweak or change. The homes themselves had an EPC rating of A, which is really good, and a very impressive SAT score of 107. And this is based on last year's figures, so this is really for the big energy price hikes. But during the sunny periods, we can see that the homes were 100% self-powered, because we're able to monitor these on a central app ourselves. For June last year, we could see that 376% of the energy was offset, and tenant satisfaction was really, really high. One of the residents last year was paying £27 a month for the energy, and that was just all the heating and all the electric to run all the appliances. Obviously, things have changed then, because even if your energy is low, your standing charge, etc., is going to have gone up. So we'll need to do those figures again this year and work with the residents to see how things are working. But one of the outcomes we had, as we know throughout lockdown, as I said earlier, access to good quality housing and open space was a key benefit. So we hope that the houses are really benefiting people's health and well-being. And really, when we meet the residents and see their reaction, we're getting such positive feedback. It's such a rewarding part of the development process, handing over the residents and having the feedback from that. And also as a sort of nod to biodiversity, because we're looking at all aspects of health and well-being and climate change. We have a swift brick in every home, And also in the scheme we're about to hand over now, we've also got rain gardens within the curtilages of the property. So again, we'll need to make sure that we work with the residents to explain how those rain gardens work and make sure that they're not paved over, for example, or mowed. So there's quite a lot of engagement we need to do when people are moving in. Just some screenshots there of the Tesla apps, as you can see. So we can monitor daily, monthly, and annual performance of each home to see how it's performing. It's really good because it also gives us a chance to pick up if there's any problems. So, for example, if the PV stops talking to the battery, or because the Wi-Fi, the central Wi-Fi monitoring's gone down, we can pick that up immediately to make sure that everyone is getting the best benefit. So I think we picked up a couple of weeks ago that one of the systems wasn't working properly, and the tenant wasn't getting the benefits. You were able to, by remotely monitoring it, we're able to pick that up and go out and resolve that issue. As I say, one of the key and most important things we need to do is work with the residents when they move in to make sure that they're getting the best out of their new homes. We try to work on simple handover packs, developing YouTube videos, and really sort of a variety of ways to try and engage with everybody. Can't underestimate really the amount of resources you need to put into that. We've got an officer in my team who goes out and works with them, but also training the repairs call centre, the neighbourhood officers. Everybody who's going to be part of the process needs to understand how this kit works, not in a very technical way, but needs to explain if you need to reset the system, for example. One of the things we're finding is that the radiators won't get as hot as they will with a traditional gas system. So people may think, oh, this isn't working properly because the radiator isn't boiling hot. So it's that sort of engagement, because it's different to us all and it's new to us all. So we just need to make sure that we do that sort of explanation and handover and revisit, make sure everything's working properly. There's a big resource that needs to be put into that. Testing the systems is critical and making sure they're commissioned and working properly. Because you can have the MVHR may not be working properly, and that would upset the whole balance of the house. So testing the whole house is key before handover. And I think monitoring is key really to understanding the success of all these technologies, to make sure how they work and make sure they're working properly. And really, one of the key challenges for us going forward now is how we balance developing these high standard homes with the scale of delivery. Excuse me. We want to continue to develop these high standards homes, but obviously there's a cost associated with that. So one of the questions we often get asked is, if you didn't develop such high standards, could you build more houses? So there's always that balance and that challenge going forward. We're looking going forward at our material uses. So really trying to understand how we can improve on our journey towards net zero carbon. Excuse me. And finally, I think understanding this financial challenge that all landlords across Wales are going to face about how we're going to continue to build new homes at scale and also decarbonise our existing stock, because it's clear that the two are not going to be affordable going forward. So we really need a solution for that. So thank you. I'll go now before I choke. I'm sorry. I was diagnosed with COVID at the weekend and I haven't been ill, but I have the week off.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for that. And I know we've seen already a number of questions popping up. If you could just maybe take your slides off for a second, and then I know it's a great actual final slide to remind ourselves. And maybe I could hand over to Adrian whilst you recover from your coughing, Carol. Yeah. Hi, Adrian. You're on mute at the moment. Yeah, so you know that.
Yeah, thanks, David, and yeah, good morning all. it's a bit strange off-putting this when I can't see anyone but the panel, and I can't see anyone in the audience. But I shall just share my screen. Endeavour to. Is that available to view, David?
Yes, but it's not on slide view yet. Yeah. It's still in your edit form.
Okay, how do I do that?
Try slideshow at the top.
Slideshow, and there we go. Okay.
Yep, lovely, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just as a brief introduction, I'm Adrian Johnson. I'm the Managing Director Commercial Services for Group Cartrefi Conwy, which basically is the housing association, and as David outlined, the wholly owned subsidiary which is Creating Enterprise, and we also have a non-subsidiary which is another exciting venture for Cartrefi Conwy, which is Calon Homes, where we have now a development business for sale as well as looking to build more affordable homes, and the idea of that is to generate more profits to build homes for market sale, but use those profits then to build more affordable homes in the county of Conwy. The presentation today, and what I want to talk through though really is Creating Enterprise's approach to building new homes, and what we are trying to do in terms of not just building energy efficient homes for our tenants, but also by doing them creating job opportunities as well for tenants, almost like a twofold approach to that, to really try and get the circular economy going. And very much, off Hannah's presentation, our homes are kind of very similar to that concept that they're doing in Swansea, which I think just looking at that site looked absolutely fantastic, and we're trying to achieve that moving forward. A little bit about Cartrefi Conwy before I go into what we are doing. We are the largest social landlord in the county of Conwy, with owning now about 4,000 properties. We also have an ambitious development program over the next kind of 8 years, 7-8 years now, really, to build 1,000 homes. And the idea is to build those 1,000 homes. We'll put as many as we can through the subsidiary Creating Enterprise to bring the added social values from that. So really trying to sweat their portfolio, sweat the business plan, and by doing that, just really try and create opportunities for those furthest from the job market. Creating Enterprise was formed in 2015, and we see ourselves as that social contractor of choice. And I'm really proud to say that we in a short period of time developed ourselves into the fastest growing company in the whole of Wales in 2020 in any sector. We carry out a range of property maintenance and construction services, and the key here is we are a social enterprise. We recycle our profit for a social good, and that social purpose really is about engaging with Cartrefi Conwy tenants and other tenants and residents in the county of Conwy and Denbighshire, and trying to support them into employment, or into whatever form they need for life skills, etc., to get them back into employment. We already now, again since 2015, just in Creating Enterprise, we're employing 75 colleagues, and we're pleased to say we've got a confirmed order book over the next 5 years of circa £65 million. Again, giving that longevity and sustainability in the work we're trying to achieve, to again go to our social purpose. What I'm going to be focusing on today within the presentation though is our modular solutions division, which we opened in 2019 alongside a company called BT Passive, and how we've just opened our new factory now in Rhyl, Denbighshire, which we opened earlier this year, and very much focusing on timber manufacturing. So not just building the timber frames for our passive houses that we're building for Cartrefi, Conwy and other social landlords, but components of that home as well that we're actually doing from the factory in Rill. And as I mentioned earlier, we've now got Calon Homes as well, which is our division, which we're building homes for market sale. That's a little bit about us. And I just want to go now and summarize really, about creating enterprise and our business plan before I go into the homes that we're actually building. So we do see ourselves as the social contractor of choice, and we don't just work for Cartrefi, Conwy either. We work for a range of housing providers across North Wales, really growing our core business. We ensure through everything we do that we're working alongside our tenants on educational programs around sustainable build as well. So obviously there is the remit and why we're all here this week as well on ensuring that sustainability, energy efficiency, ensuring that we are having to, let's face it, in this current climate, work together, all of us working together, really adopting best practice, adopting educational programs, etc., to reduce fuel costs in whichever way we can. So let's make the houses as energy efficient as possible, and let's educate all of us, and to understand what we are building, because it is different. It is different. Hannah alluded to that. Carol alluded to that earlier from Swansea. We are putting a lot of widgets and gadgets, etc., into these homes, and we have to make sure that we are understanding, what they do, what their outputs are, and how best to utilize them. Our clients that we work alongside include RSLs, local authorities, the NHS, and private developers. And again, our impetus is really to grow and train in-house workforce along with local supply chain and maximize as much local material as we can as well. And I'll come on to that. With regards to one of our main divisions in creating enterprise, it is building of timber frame homes here in the county of Conwy and beyond. We've now got contracts that span from Wrexham to Anglesey. We do concentrate on timber frame. We have ensured through Travis Perkins and BSW that we are utilising Welsh timber to build our timber frame. But more importantly, for us here in Cartrefi, Conwy, now we've got our factory in Rill. We have employed local people from County of Conwy, County of Denbighshire, who are actually building the panels, building the frames, using Welsh timber, local labour. And then we're actually with our in-house workforce, again, similar to Carol, having that kind of, as opposed to just going out and buying these modular homes in from over the border, which we do not want. We're utilising our own to really upskill, train, and give longevity and employment to continue building these homes thereafter. So we have a commitment here to build. We've got 350, and we've opted for the passive standard homes over the next 5 years, and that's as a conservative measure. I would like to do more than that measure if we can, and you'll hear me say this a lot through the presentation, creating many employment opportunities across North Wales through Creating Futures. Creating Futures is our employment academy within Creating Enterprise. We've already built 56 homes to date. They span from bungalows that we've built in Anglesey for sheltered accommodation. We've built 1-bed units for homeless accommodation in Old Colwyn, and family homes as well from Llanrwst to what we're currently just completing our aspect of the build in Denbighshire, where we've built 22 passive house homes for Denbighshire Council. A key element as well is not just looking at the timber frame homes and what we're actually building, but the components within that as well, and how we can really, utilize again the overhead and the factory we have in Rill to look at bringing more employment in, to look at other components of what we're actually building. And an example of that is the actual timber frame, the timber joists. They're called these metal web joists that we actually use in a passive house home. And a lot of timber frame homes use these now across Wales So as opposed to, again, just buying these joists directly from the merchants, we've gone into actual manufacturing of these ourselves. So again, we took on the factory in Rill. We've employed 9 people now in Rill already in the space of just 4 or 5 months. And the concept there is we manufacture the joists as opposed to buying them in. We manufacture them ourselves and we utilize them in our passive house homes moving forward, and as well as kind of input fillers as well, such as fencing, and we're going into timber sheds, etc., that will well fit in nicely then with WHQS2 when that comes out, and be able to put in again those type of components into our tenants' homes. So again, as opposed to just buying them off Travis, we've really tried to sweat the asset, look at what gives us a longevity of program, and things like fencing and sheds and joists, which people take for granted. You just go to the Travis Perkins or Jewson's or whatever of this world, and you just buy it off the shelf. And we've thought, no, let's really look at, are we using lots of them? Is it sustainable? And if we're building 1,000 homes over the next 7 years, there's a lot of joists and a lot of fencing, a lot of sheds you're going to need. So we've really looked at a program where we can make best use of that and bring opportunities to give our tenants work for doing this type of work. And like I've just said earlier, we in our business plan, we've secured an order book of £65 million now over the next 5 years. That gives those opportunities. Just a quick just a picture of our factory here in Rill. We're now manufacturing. We've got lots of fence panels that we're doing out of here, and also the actual posi joists. And I think what's important here as well, to make sure that we've got that continuity in supply chain and that throughput in materials, is that not only we've got the order book for Cartrefi Conwy, it's been fantastic working with other housing associations and local authorities in North Wales who are wanting to buy into this concept as well and see the social benefits of trading with someone like Creating Enterprise. But I must say, Travis Perkins have been fantastic here as well, who have put Creating Enterprise on their preferred supply chain, as we're manufacturing these components that not only meet the carbon zero agenda from inception to completion really, but then we've got someone like a PLC like Travis Perkins who are engaging with us to make sure that we have this opportunity to make lots of product, and that they will buy from us as well, along with other associations and local authorities. So yeah, the factory is up and running. Any of you up in North Wales or even in South Wales, and you want to come up to North Wales to have a look and come and have a look at what we're doing here, we'd welcome anyone really. And we've had a lot of coverage and support from Welsh Government on this, from the likes of the lottery on this as well, and our own monies that we're putting into it to get this up and running. And we'll have the official opening from the Minister. We're hoping in the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks as well, which is great, but something we are proud of, and something, this is a live scheme where we are, as I said, manufacturing the most energy efficient home you can do in Wales today. And similar, I won't go into all the technicalities because I think Carol covered that very well. A very similar concept to what Carol is doing. I'll skirt through Calon Homes, but I mentioned this was our division now for market sale of what we're building. Again, building energy efficient homes, but this is just a mixture of affordable homes but also market sale homes. But the emphasis here and what's important is we're bringing profits back in from Calon Homes to build more of the timber frame homes and the energy efficient homes moving forward. I've mentioned the employment program in my presentation to date, but I think this slide's important as well, because as well as the sustainability aspect, and we're building energy efficient homes, which we do believe in, and we've got the order book, we're only doing that, and we're only able to be successful in that with Creating Futures, which is the employment academy which underpins Creating creating enterprise. And I just want to go through some of these stats to give you an idea of what we actually do and what the commercial aspect of creating enterprise and the 65 million turnover or whatever, what that actually does for us. And these are just this is just an overview of some of the stuff we do, which as I said, underpins creating enterprise and Group Cartrefi Conwy. And Creating Futures now is engaged with 862 tenants within the community, and we've supported 240 people in that short space of time back into employment and job search support, with gaining 90 tenants a full-time workplace position in that time as well. When we say workplace as well, this isn't just yes, we do volunteering, yes, we do work experience, apprenticeships, etc. But the 60 tenants that we've put through the Employment Academy are all paid for positions as well. They are paid for via whatever the market is paying for that position, and that is paid on a 12-month contract basis. And then along with that, there's programs such as the digital services we do for supporting our tenants getting back into kind of understanding how to use the phones and the tablets and etc. and the digital IT support. We have now a creating loyalty discount card, which again, because of the commercial aspect and this drive for energy efficiency, the drive from Welsh Government and what that gives from a commercial perspective, you know, we've looked at how we can really sweat that circular economy. So for example, the creating loyalty discount card, I think we've got, I believe, about 55, 60 businesses now in the county of Conwy who have signed up to this. So this is from your greengrocers to your butchers and and your candlestick makers, etc. But a range of SMEs, a range of kind of small local businesses who have signed up with us in creating enterprise, and this allows then people who go through Creating Futures, tenants of Cartrefi Conwy, to have the discount card, who can then get discounts in local shops and whatever other businesses have signed up to us in the county. And that's been a real success today and going. It's really going from strength to strength with new businesses coming up all the time. And now we're looking at how we can roll this out to all tenants to benefit from this. And of course, you know, if that's saving, that's more net income saved, and that assists then with what we are in unprecedented times, as you know, as we speak. We've been successful with our Kickstart program as well, where we've had 25 young people back into employment through Kickstart, and we've just opened up a new hub now as well in Llandudno. So we've got our bases in North Wales. Abergele our HQ. We've got the factory in Rhyl, and we've just opened up our hub in Llandudno some sort of 7-8 months ago, where we've already engaged with 317 individuals to again look through support to get back into employment. Second-hand furniture, which is what a lot of associations do. We're very much committed to that, and recycling furniture, and we've also now gained just over £3 billion in grants to enable us to do this work. So just looking at some of the sites that we've been working on, this is the small sort of bungalows we've done in Miser Ysgol, in Holyhead. We've to show you how we're building these. This was a factory we actually had in Anglesey at the time, which we've now moved to Rhyl. But these are just tenants and also joiners from our organisation who are doing the work. So putting up the panels in a factory, taking it to site, and then erecting on site very, very quickly, and then we just finish off the actual property itself once we've got the actual panel system up. These were 8 one-bed units that we'd done in Old Colwyn, sort of meanwhile accommodation. This unit, units working alongside Conwy County Borough Council for homeless accommodation, which we successfully completed, and they've all now been let. And again, it is a lot of work then working alongside these tenants and making sure that they're making a sort of best use of the homes in terms of all of the, like I said earlier, the gadgets and widgets that are going in. And again, I think Carol explained that very well, and we're doing a very similar approach to that. this site here, this is 22 units we've done here for Denbighshire Council. This will be a fully passive house scheme, this, for Denbighshire Council, with ground source heat pumps, panels, utilising a lot of renewable energy on here, but then adopting our BT Passive principles, and we've built the 22 units here to that standard, which has been a very exciting scheme. And now we're just about to go on to new schemes now with Adrian North Wales Housing in Penryn Bay to build 23 homes, and also working with Wrexham Council and Clwyd Allen to build some units in Wrexham as well, which will be utilised again for homeless accommodation. And these pictures really just giving an idea of how we do it, what we do, and it is basic. It's very, very basic, really, and it is something I should have said earlier. Why we went down this route of timber frame, being able to manufacture it in a factory, take it to site, is because it's very much around the principles of self-build. We're able to upskill and train people quite easily in this form of construction, and we really didn't want to, as an organisation, as an executive team with our board, to look at the easy way out here and just buy it in, and just because there's some fantastic products, and there really is, and I do understand risk mitigation, etc., why people do it, but we were very much focused in creating enterprise that we're already a business that we're up and running, doing all sorts of planned maintenance and cyclical maintenance, and we this was our core business, really, in planned maintenance and building homes. So we felt we wanted a product we can do ourselves, and going down the timber frame route is something that's working well for us moving forward. And on that note, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd, and I could talk forever, but I'll stop there, Dave. You know.
So it's actually an interesting point. Before I introduce Rachel, Adrian mentioned about coming to see there. Truthfully, you're on our plan, Adrian. We're trying to introduce some what's called TPAS tours, some study visits. It's quite popular in TPAS Scotland. So Pobble Group have offered to host a tour of Penderry, the largest retrofit project in Britain. I'm looking at Newport for some stuff around circular economy there. Newport seems to be the place for circular economy at the moment. And you and Adra are very much on my mind for that. Job creation and skills training for North Wales study tour. So if you're willing, I'd be keen to get in touch on that, and maybe people will be interested in coming along to some of these study visits someday.
Yeah.
Carol, you've got your hand up. Something?
I was just going to offer a visit to Swansea as well, if that would be
lovely. Right, I'll get in touch on that as well. That could be part of our Pobble and Penderry and things like that. It'd be worth seeing. Swansea is a safe place for the building at the moment as well. So Rachel, as I say, is a comms manager at Tarian. It was something I saw on Twitter that really interested me, and that's why we got in touch with her. So I don't know if it's part of what she's going to talk about today, but I really hope it is.
maybe.
So yeah, our third speaker. Thank you very much, Rachel.
Fab. Is that looking okay? Yeah. Wait. Give me a second because I can't see it as I should. Technology, eh?
As Rachel's doing that, please keep your questions going in the Q&A. If Adrian or Carol want to pick any up now, if you think that's specific. I think there was one about how did you choose the different ones, but we'll pick all this up in the Q&A at the end. If
Okay.
So hi everyone, lovely to be here this morning. I'm Rachel Gardiner-James, Communications Officer at Tarian. So we're the second largest housing association in Wales with just over 9,000 homes, and we're based in Neath Talbot, so we're just down the road from Carol in Swansea. So I'm here today to talk about how we are communicating our new homes, not just with tenants, but the wider community. So back in 2019, we became the first housing association in Wales to commit to becoming carbon neutral by 2030. So homes are a huge part of this, both retrofitting and building new ones in the most sustainable way. So we plan to build 400 new homes by 2025. But new homes are much more than just that. We have 3 corporate priorities: sustainable homes, a sustainable planet, and sustainable communities. And we want all our new developments to cut across all 3 themes. So our county flats redevelopment in Sandfields, Tarian, sits in one of the largest social housing areas in Wales. So there we have over 2,000 properties, and on the doorstep is a beautiful 3-mile beach. So the county flats have appeared in numerous gritty TV dramas and even in a Mumford & Sons music video. However, while that's great for TV, they have been in desperate need of revamping. And towards the end of last year, we started work on creating some of the most environmentally friendly homes in Wales. And telling this story is my job, which is fantastic. So we are working with Neath-based contractor Hale, located just 5 miles down the road in Neath. And we're going to build 55 new sustainable homes, redevelop 72, and create 77 new jobs. This is due to be completed in spring next year. So how is it different? The development will maximise the use of natural insulations like sheep's wool and mycelium to help keep the homes warm and reduce the amount of energy needed to heat them. So this, combined with latest technology, including solar panels, battery storage, and the IES, the Intelligent Energy Systems, will allow each home to interact with the grid. So the new build element of the project will also benefit from super energy efficient heating systems that will keep properties warm while creating considerable savings for the residents. Modular units will be built in Hale's Seven Oaks factory down the road in Neath, 5 miles away. And while all this sounds fantastic, it's not straightforward. In most cases previously, we built on land and there's been some demolition preceding that. However, this involves people moving out of their homes, retrofitting them, and adding new ones to the same site in a densely populated area. So as you can imagine, communication is key. We have a dedicated development officer, Zoe, who is everyone's first point of contact. We've got a drop-in hub on site, regular community events and monthly newsletters to help keep not just the tenants involved, but those living in the local area, the local community. And this is obviously an ongoing process as the bill develops. And as comms, we are playing our part in telling that story. So from what I've said so far, you can see there's lots more than just housing elements to this project. So to date, we've used lots of ways to share how we are doing this in an innovative way. And our target audience haven't just been the tenants, but as I mentioned, it's the wider community, it's local stakeholders, our staff, partners, and the wider housing stroke building sector, just because we're doing things differently. We announced the redevelopment in quite a traditional way, press release, social media, and then during COP26, we created some videos to highlight how we were going to do this differently. So hopefully this will work. So this is Richard, he's our project manager for County Flats, really passionate about the project. He's been with us since pre-transfer in various different roles, so well known within the business, someone that's very approachable and absolutely fab on camera. So I'll just play this for you.
We're going to be increasing the numbers from 72 in total up to 125 units. So we'll be doing that by adding additional units to the ends of the blocks, and will all be modular construction. Modular construction would mean that the units are created quicker and they're better quality because they are designed and created within the factory environment. So we don't have any issues with weather during the construction phase. We have better insulation, and we are using renewable insulation for this project. So we're using sheep's wool, we're using mycelium, which is mushrooms basically, and we're also using a recycled wood fibre insulation. So couple that with using Welsh timber predominantly to create the modules, we're hoping to be as sustainable and as carbon friendly as we possibly can during the construction phase.
So that was shared with our staff and also on social media. So just creating content in a different way. This has gone funny again. Bear with me. I've lost my notes. Oh gosh, I'm spoiling it for you now. There we are.
Play on it? Does it need to press play on the video? Oh.
No. Yeah, so making things visual. So CGIs on all new developments are great, but we really wanted to bring the project to life, not only for our tenants, but as I've said time and time again, those local residents as well. So we created a fly-through animation, and this has been shared regularly on our social media with our tenants, and all those sort of link to the project. And we've also got a virtual reality click-through version, so people can see the detail of the development. So, you know, they can see where their flat is going to be, which is lovely for those sort of one-on-one conversations, which our development officer has been having, or those conversations we've been having at key events. So branding is quite key to the site. It's in a prime location. You know, we've got lots of passing traffic with people popping to the beach. There's a cinema literally backing on to the site. So lots of people back and forth. And we didn't just want to do the sort of traditional new homes coming soon holdings. This has got the potential to be a 5-year project if more of the county flats are developed. So we wanted to be bold with our branding, creating larger than average holdings, and bringing in some key messages to really emphasise what the scheme is all about and the difference it's going to make, and those added benefits for the wider community. So while all this was going on, we did an audit of our social media, and did a little bit of research to see where social was heading really in the future. And that's led us to creating more short form video as part of our common strategy. So obviously there'll always be a place for that Richard video, the one, the talking head, if you like, where you've got someone explaining something. We've been bringing in a lot more short form video, and obviously County Flats is rich with comms content, and we've been able to bring it to life for people using this sort of method. This could be a bit loud, so just to warn you.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Can you feel the fire running through your veins? Now you're burning brighter. Don't look away. Shout out to the legends, rising from the wreckage. Count down the seconds. It's our Tarian.
So going back to what I was saying about it being more than just bricks and mortar, more than just homes, it's all those added benefits that development brings to the local community. So these were shared obviously on social, and a great tool to share with our staff, just to keep them in the loop with what was going on, and again reinforce those key messages of the development.
Yeah.
My technology is keep losing my notes. There it is. There we go. So when using Welsh sheep's wool as insulation at County Flats was mentioned, you can imagine my mind was working overtime on how we could tell that story. So when I planned this TikTok, I will confess, I did want sheep in video form, but that wasn't easy. So, you know, went to a farm. We know a farmer. So, you know, went with my camera to film these sheep, but I petrified them. And no matter how calm I walked towards them with my camera, you know, they just all ran off. So one of our colleagues, Mai, who I think was on the call earlier, I don't know if she's still here. She's really passionate about Welsh sheep. So she's championing for it to be used across the country as the sort of go-to insulation. So she came to my rescue with this beautiful picture here of one of her girls with her baby lamb who'd just been born. So yeah, we created this on TikTok, also shared on Instagram. It's been watched over 3,000 times with 200 likes. But what was really exciting for me was the engagement that we had, the questions that people were asking about safety, saying, oh, you're not going to get insurance for that. And then asking, well, hang on, what's the process from, you know, the sheep being sheared to, you know, the end? How does it all work? So that was really exciting to, you know, it wasn't just about likes, it wasn't just about people playing it. People were asking questions about the process, which is what it's all about.
We are using local sheep's wool to make new homes warmer. After shearing, the wool is turned into insulation, which is then being used on our new homes for sandfields.
So really short and snappy. And, you know, if you'd asked me at the start of the year, can you create a short, snappy video? I probably wouldn't have been too sure. But I think once you know how, it's quite easy and you know, really effective in a way to communicate with people. So a separate project within Tarian, we work closely with comprehensive school pupils, engaging them with arts, heritage and culture projects across the borough. So environment and sustainability is part of that. So as you can imagine, County Flats ticks a lot of boxes for that education piece. So my colleague Janet used this video to sort of introduce the sheep's wool element of County Flats to them and insulation. And as you can imagine, showing a TikTok video with a trending sound and, you know, that familiar voiceover to a load of teenagers, they sort of sat up and was like, oh, you know, this is cool. So the next step for that is they're going to go and visit a farm locally, meet the farmer, see that sort of shearing process, and get that sort of, you know, hands-on experience of how it all works. And those young people, they go to a school close by to County Flats, you know, so this is very much their community. You know, so it's giving them an understanding of, you know, the innovating ways in which we're building these homes, you know, and all the added benefits really that come with that.
We are using.
So modular units. I know Adrian spoke a lot about modular units, you know, and this is something that we're trying for the first time. And there was lots of talk about modular units, you know, being built away from site, you know, and they wouldn't be impacted by the weather, and it'd be a quick way of building. But, you know, for people to sort of visualize that and you know, understand, well, how's all that going to work? Again, we went to site, and this ties in with our subsidiary Tarian, who've entered into a 10-year collaboration with Sevenoaks Modular, which are linked to Hale, who are obviously our developer for county flats. And the factory, as a result of that subsidiary and the collaboration, they've been able to upscale to create these units. And obviously then there's lots of potential for more projects in the future. So we went on a visit, lots of members of staff to sort of find out about how it all worked. And we created then this TikTok off the back of that. Again, shared on social and shared with staff as well. Oh, gosh. And that doesn't want to work. Why am I getting all the technical problems? Yeah, so you can check it out. It's on our social. It's just a walkthrough really of the video showing the modular builds being built on site. Fab. And then traditional comms then. So, you know, we're doing all the fun stuff, but, you know, your bread and butter, your tenant newspaper that goes through tenant stores, that's reaching that tenant audience, of which, as I mentioned earlier, we've got 9,000. You know, it's important that we get our stories in there. And this is a biggie, you know, the new homes creating new jobs. Hale have committed to creating 77 new jobs off the back of this redevelopment. So we went down to site and caught up with the two row ones. So they're starting their journey within the construction industry on this exciting new projects. You know, and we always say new homes have got a life-changing impact on tenants, but these two boys feel the same. You know, this is their chance really to get into the construction industry, and they're absolutely loving the opportunity. So this story is going to be in the next edition of Cartrefi, which is our tenant newspaper. So this is hot off the press, an exclusive for you all, so because this is going to go out in July. But we've already shared the story on social, the stories on our website as well. And it, you know, again, we've had lovely engagement where, you know, people are saying, well done boys, you know, all the best, because it is that sort of feel good story. So what's next? As the site isn't due to complete until next spring, there's still you know, lots of exciting stuff to come. You know, we've done a lot so far using lots of different methods, as you've seen. But you know, next up is that transportation of the modular units on the 5 miles to site. So going from Neath to Talbot. So we're thinking big, we're thinking drone footage, GoPros on lorries transporting down to site, just to capture that journey, you know, so we can look back and go, wow, because everybody within the business is really excited about that. The school's involvement, so they're going to be involved in the naming of the new block, and of course the teams that I mentioned earlier, you know, they've got that exciting visit to the farm for them to sort of, you know, understand that process. But you know, the video and the session with Janet has given them a taster already for what that's all about. There's going to be more job creation. I think there's been 28 jobs so far, so there's, you know, a lot more to come. And you know, we follow the journey of the two row ones and others, you know, that will join along the way. Community benefits, like all of us really, it's a biggie for us with all our contracts. You know, they must give back to the community as a result of getting that contract. And already Hale have been fantastic. Before they even started on site, they'd installed a defib on our Bravin Beach, which two young lads who'd lost their dad on the beach, they were campaigning to get a defib in a particular spot. And Hale said, yeah, that's something that's important for the community, and they were happy to support. There's going to be a community challenge. As you can see on the picture there, this sort of white block there's a community centre, which is well used, but is in need of a revamp. So through our community challenge, we're going to go in, we're going to do that, again, that giving back to the community. And we'll continue to tell the story of the site progress. Obviously, the completion is going to be a biggie. I'm imagining because it's our biggest project to date. You know, there's going to be a launch. But for me, it's that people's story. So, you know, we're saying how fab this is. You know, more sustainable, some of the most sustainable homes in Wales. But what difference is it going to make for our tenants? So once we give them keys, how's that going to make them feel? And 6 months down the line, then what are they telling us about the difference that all these fantastic methods of sustainability are making to them? You know, are they saving money? Is their home warmer? It's that story really that we want to be telling. So a big journey and a long process, but a really exciting story to tell for us. So here's my contact details. If anybody wants to get in touch, my email address, phone number, and of course, give us a little follow on social. Just search Tarian. We're on all platforms, and you can keep up to speed then with our journey or look back at some of the videos we've done. You know, obviously we haven't just done stuff on County Flats, we've got lots of other developments at the moment. So all of that content is there.
Thank you very much, Rachel. I know certainly I was one of the people who saw your sheep TikToks. I was like, oh, what's this? It really did engage me, and I think it's excellent. Right, so if I could ask, maybe we've got some questions and answers. Maybe I could ask Hannah back on the stage to maybe manage us through some Q&As.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you all. Sorry, I'll hand over to you.
All right, so Adrian did go ahead and answer some of the questions that were in the Q&A. Thank you, Adrian, for doing so. So if you want to look at any of those answers that he put into the Q&A, you can just go over to the Answered tab, and then it will show his responses. And so our first question is for Carol. At the mention of the Tesla batteries, Matthias asked, Tesla batteries have come up a few times. Are they value for money?
I think it's a bit early to say. Our batteries, it's a new installation for us. The longest they've been in at the moment is 2 years. We haven't had any problems with them yet. We're expecting the lifespan to be about 10 years, but we don't know that yet. So I think it's part of this monitoring, which I talked about earlier, which is so important, which will test all this when it is. So it'll assess the lifespan, the payback over those years. So I think really good question, but a little too early to be able to say for sure yet. But I think if somebody knocked on my door and said that I could a Tesla battery and PV on your roof, I'd bite their hand off at the moment. So.
My experience from talking to tenants from Wales and West development who had Tesla batteries is there is something about that Tesla brand. There were little panels on the wall in one of their, it was in their kitchen or utility room, and they were like pieces of art.
Yeah,
I actually had selfies with them and things like that.
But I look nice. Yeah.
But my concern is, I think came up yesterday, was how easy they are to steal, considering their cost.
Yeah, there's a fair weight on them, I've got to say. Ours are hidden away in a special cupboard within the house. I suppose people in theory could steal them. They're very heavy. We are looking in the future about whether we could put them in the loft space, which is easy again on a new home. But when you come to replacing that and having to carry it down the stairs, obviously there's an issue with that, and obviously an issue with making sure that wherever the battery stored is fireproof.
Yeah.
So there are issues, and also, and obviously there are issues with, as I say, the life cycle. We don't know yet how long they're going to last.
Perfect, thanks. And then the next question for also you, Carol, again, is how did Swansea decide what sized homes to build? If you have an answer for that.
Okay, we use a variety of tools really. We've got a local housing market assessment, which helps us what the need is. And we could break that down by areas. We use our waiting list as well, and we also talk to the neighbourhood officer and the community team there, and the ward members. So one of the developments we got on site at the moment is 6 bungalows, which will be designated older because we know that there's a need to try and free up family accommodation in that area and maybe get people with a local connection to move, if they're under occupying family homes, to move into these specially made bungalows. So we use a variety of tools. Most of our sites will put a mix of properties on. We'll use put 1s, 2s, 3s and 4 beds and a couple of bungalows if the site is big enough. But sometimes we will do a specialist scheme if the need is there.
I would add to that what Carol said. I think our All Wales tenant survey last summer showed huge amount of people saying, of a certain demographic age, saying, I'd love to be in a bungalow. I'd love to free up this 3-bedroomed house. You know, my family moved away, but I'm not going to go into a small pokey flat, on the 10th floor. I'm desperate for bungalow. And I think the private sector is not going to provide that, I don't think, the same. I don't know if Adrian or Rachel have got any other comments on that.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think what we have to do here in Wales and what we're committed to is we've got to build better. There's a question that come up: how can we, with the housing demand, how can we make sure qualities are there, etc. Well, we've got to, and that's what we're doing here in Cartrefi Conwy. We believe in our product we're building. Yes, it might be more expensive at this moment in time, but we need to build things that are fit for the future. And we can't be just building properties to get them up there quickly that then we're spending more money on in years to come. We are facing challenges in material prices. It's unprecedented. Labour costs are going up. There isn't availability of labour like it once was. So we do need to think smarter, but also the important thing is having a home that is sustainable for the future and cheaper to run, and that is the key, and that's what we've all got to do in Wales, I believe, to work together on that, because there shouldn't be any competition. There shouldn't be anything like one trying to get a better house than the other, etc. We should all be sort of learning and helping each other to make sure that we do meet this housing demand and build quality homes.
Yeah, agreed.
Great. We have a next question. I don't know if anybody will have a response for this one, but it says, do you have the same response time for repairs of heat pumps compared to gas boilers, as this was an issue for early heat pump tenants waiting much longer?
I can come in on that one. Our response time would be the same. Obviously, within the first year, we'll be using the contractor, and a warranty that's in place for that. So the contractor would come back and deal with any problems, but we will aim to have the same response time. What we're trying to do is train our in-house workforce to be able to take over the maintenance after the first year, and to ensure that we've got the skills in-house to be able to do that, as we do with our own gas servicing now. So we need to get to that point. At the moment, we're still in the warranty position. We haven't had that many, I'm glad to say, so far, but yeah, that's certainly an issue, and it's down to making sure we've got the skills in-house to train and to be able to equip our workforce to be able to respond within the same time scale.
Great, thank you.
Can I just add on that as well? Friday morning, there's a session on how ADRA are tackling that issue in terms of training their workforce, converting them through a decarbonisation hub they're creating in Pennygroes. For those interested in that skills and transfer, there's a short session on Friday morning. It's worth coming to that, because there's some really new ways we're going to train the workforce so that we have a high-skilled workforce. And like Adrian mentioned, we're not shipping them the contractors in from Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, things like that, and we are skilling our local workforce to do these repair contracts. Yeah.
Great. We have another question. This might also go into yesterday's sessions around retrofit. So whoever asked this, I encourage you to go look at those as well. That could give you a little bit more detail. But the question is, should the social housing sector do more to convert and utilize existing buildings and communities to make best use of embodied carbon, as well as regenerating areas, rather than building from new? If anybody wants to comment on this.
I think it's both, really, isn't it? I think we need to take advantage of where we can convert buildings, and demolition, as we've seen, isn't always the best option in terms of body carbon, etc. So I think, and we need to build new homes as well. I mean, within our development programme, we've got a range of conversions. We're looking at converting some of our former district offices back into accommodation. We've done a project that David mentioned earlier, where we developed a homeless project at former education centre. But we've also put some passive pods on the same site as well. We've used a mixture of conversions and modern methods of construction. So I think the answer is, yeah, we need both, don't we? To increase the supply.
Yeah.
And we are doing both at the moment. Like, obviously County Flats is a mixture of both. There's going to be new units, but we're effectively retrofitting the existing blocks, making them bigger, and obviously bringing in all of that insulation. But then, we're building from scratch as well. So it's a bit of a mixture from us. I think it's much easier to build from scratch. It's a much harder project doing a County Flat style. But I think there's a need for both, really.
Right. And then we have a question for Rachel. Bob asked, do you have disabled parking included for visitors on your sites?
We don't. There is parking for County Flats. Disabled parking slots, I think they can be requested via the local authority. Not sure about visitors. There's quite a lot of parking on the roads. There's sort of 2 roads either side of the flats. There's quite a lot of street parking. But yeah, not designated parking for disabled residents, unfortunately, visitors anyway.
Okay, and then another parking question from Amanda for you, Rachel. Does the site have a designated parking space for each flat, and have you included electric car charging ports for future proofing?
Yes, we have. So we got 5 charging points split over 3 parking areas. There isn't a dedicated parking space per flat, but there is parking provision within the scheme. And we've also got sort of scooter storage and charging points with that as well.
Great. And then another one from Amanda about the sheep's wool. Do you purchase and process the wool yourself direct from the farmer?
That's something that Hale are involved with. But yeah, they've got relationships with local farmers because it's more cost effective, really, to do it that way.
Okay.
Did you mention there's going to be a follow-up video on that thing? I think TPAS would be interested in sharing that out to people afterwards.
Yeah, no pressure.
I have a real unhealthy interest in this whole sheep's wool thing. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think maybe I'll rope Myron, who's our she's experienced with the sheep better than me, so maybe I can get that sort of footage this time without them running away.
Yeah.
And then another question from Bob for you, Rachel. Have you put in fiber on the new build?
Ooh. What? I'm sorry, I'm not very technical. What do you mean by that, Bob?
I would imagine he means broadband fibre rather than.
Oh, yeah,
I would imagine rather than a manufacturing fibre. I think. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'll have to find out. I'm not sure on that one. I can find out and get back to you.
But I think for Carol and Adrian as well would agree. This is something that's a little bit, I personally think it's a little bit too vague in the next HQS. So I think we need to see a little bit of clarity on making sure these developments have got access to digital in the future. I think it's part of modern life. I don't know if either of you got any comments on that, but
we've put a comms up in all our new developments. So everything is, we have a central ERP communication hub on the site. One of the green boxes you may have seen pictures. So there's one satellite dish that serves the whole site. So we don't need to pierce the fabric of the property with any other satellite dish going up on it. It looks a bit tidier. And there's a plug and play system operated in the house then, so that anybody moving in bring up whatever provider they want, and it's just plug and play, simple to go. So that's something we we've developed ourselves as sort of an innovative approach to that, really. So that seems to be working well.
Yeah, I think also, you know, we're seeing more landlords providing things as well. We were, myself and Eleanor were at a site at Cardiff Council last week where it was a more supported, more vulnerable people living there, and the council have put in the Wi-Fi and are providing as part of the facilities of the thing, because you don't want 33 vulnerable people who've come from homelessness all having to then suddenly trying to find their own Wi-Fi contracts and manage the call centres and deals. And for Cardiff Council, it was a lot easier and I think more cost effective for them to just say, we'll provide a communal digital service. And I think I commend Cardiff for that, because I think it was the right thing for those people in those accommodation. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Great, we have 2 more questions. David, do you think we have time for them?
Yeah, if people are okay. I know people will start drifting off, but I think, yeah, if we've got time, great.
Yeah, okay. So for Adrian, is Cartrefi available to appoint via any framework agreements?
We're available for all work. No, we're not on a particular framework agreement at this moment in time. It's not something we've needed because we can work alongside other framework contractors, really, who are on agreements, who really concentrate on the civils and the groundworks, etc. And then we'd come along and be a subcontractor to that principal contractor, or we could engage direct and either through a tender or negotiated contract.
Great. And for our last question, Adrian's kind of already talked on this, but if Rachel and Carol have any other comments, the question is, how can the quality cost of construction faces the challenges of the big demand of housing issue?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we're all grappling with at the moment.
Yeah.
I wish somebody could tell me what the answer is. I think we're facing huge challenges, aren't we, with the cost of everything going up and the increasing standards that we're trying to provide, balanced against the need to develop more houses and decarbonise our own stock. And I think it's a massive challenge for us all going forward. And hopefully there will be some solutions to that and how we fund it all going forward. At the moment, I think we're struggling how we're going to do that.
Well, that's great. I think we, unless Hannah got any more, I think we're coming to an end here now. I'd love that Carol, Adrian, Rachel, I think you've all brought different perspectives to this new build challenge, which is what the agenda was this morning. New homes, new ways of working. And I think it's a fascinating time. I think it's a real way Wales can innovate with new, you're seeing with wood, with wool, things like that, off-site construction. I think it's a fascinating time for Welsh housing, and I'm really excited by it. So thank you all. There is a feedback link on the right-hand side in the chat, if any of you could use it. Just give us a view if you enjoyed the session or not, and or give us a shout out on social media as well if you found this useful. If you haven't, just let me know. But no, thank you for coming. Maybe I'll see some of you this afternoon. We're looking at Cunnin's Halves plan for becoming a carbon neutral organisation, and we picked this one out. There's a lot of people looking at this challenge, but I'm really interested in Cunnin's Halves approach to this. So if people have got it, it's a shorter session. If anyone's got any time, please come to that this afternoon. So thank you all. Thanks to our speakers, and thank you all for taking part. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Bye.